people talk about the Royal Palace of Madrid, they usually talk about the people inside of it. Obviously, the kings and queens and the marriages and the scandals, the wars. But nobody really talks about the palace itself. And I'm not talking the rooms or the paintings or anything inside. I'll be talking about the rocks on the outside of the palace. Because every wall inside of this palace came from somewhere. From quarries carved into Spanish mountainsides, granite older than human civilization itself, and limestone made of the remnants of ancient seas. And the choices for all of these materials was not accidental, because the rocks of this palace tell a story of power, of how the royal family wanted you to feel when you came here and looked at this amazing palace. And they were right. It was a big flex, but maybe not for the reason that you think. But let's start the story long before this palace was even built, back to some of the first buildings in Madrid. And in fact, for any city, the materials that the buildings are made of can tell you a lot about the geology of the area, because stones are hard to move, as it turns out. And so the earliest buildings here, at least in Madrid, were made of flint, and that flint was the most readily available material nearby. That and wood. And the reason this palace is even here at all is actually because the original palace was made of very flammable materials, wood. And in 1734, it actually burned down. And so the royal family said, I don't want that again. And let's build a new palace out of more royal materials. And as it turns out, those royal materials were granite and limestone, specifically Colmenar Limestone from a nearby town of the same name, and granite from La Sierra de Guadalmara, which if I could roll my R's, I'd be pronouncing that correctly. And that doesn't sound all that interesting. Who really cares? Well, that is much more of a flex than you may realize, because those mountains where these materials came from was not exactly close by in today's standards, but to get each one of the building stones for this palace, you had to go very far, carve it out of a mountainside, and bring it back to Madrid. No easy feat in the mid-1700s. I mean, there are almost 4,000 rooms in this thing. That is truly palatial in scale. And to have that much money to be able to procure that material and bring it back to make an entire palace out of is a huge flex of power and amazingly impressive. The choice for the building materials was not by chance either. This was very deliberate, because granite is an excellent building material and perfect for strong structural material to hold up an entire palace. And the limestone itself is really soft rock and really easy to carve. So you will notice every statue and every piece of beautiful ornamental facade on this palace is made of limestone. The next time you visit the Royal Palace, tell me, did you make any observations about this stone, or did I miss anything? And enjoy the fun Easter egg hunt that is trying to find fossils in all of the limestone. I'm the Cosmic Geologist. I tell stories from the crust to the cosmos, or from Madrid to the cosmos. And if you liked this video, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.